Okay, so I was playing around with this really cool looking material in Blender. And before I knew it, I started to create this neon rain effect. And then I found out that this combo between neon rain and cyberpunk art works really well together. Almost like a mobile phone filter, but better in the sense that you have full control of it. So I'm going to show you exactly how you can create this yourself, how you can play around with it, and if you can like and subscribe, I would really appreciate that. And now let's get into it. Okay, so let's just go A and X and delete everything from our scene. So now we can go down to image and then to mesh plane. So here we're just going to locate our image that we want to bring in. So you're probably going to use a different image than mine. So just find your image and then select it like that. And now we can move over to this material section. And we want to set the shader from principled to emission. So this will just give this image a tiny bit of more light when we bring it in. Let's go import like that. And then we want to scale up this image 5 times. And we don't see anything here, so let's just change the mode from solid mode into render mode. So the next step here is to activate this bloom effect. And since we are working in Blender 4.2 or maybe a later version, we need to jump into the compositor and then check this box for use nodes. So here you're just going to need one single node. So let's go Shift A and then bring in a glare node. And let's change this from streaks into bloom. And we also want to set this quality to high. And now to activate this bloom effect or be able to see it in Blender, we need to go up here to the right and click on this drop down symbol and set this to always. So now we activated this bloom effect there. So let's just set up our scene here real quick. So we actually go to duplicate our image and then just bring it up like that. And if you jump back into the shader editor, we're just going to X away this material and give it a new one. So this second plane here is going to function as our cyberpunk raindrop thing. So let's also just bring in a camera here. So I'm just going to go camera and just set the camera to view like this. Now we can select our second plane and we can go into the shader editor and we're just going to start off with creating the magic here. So let's just delete this principled BSDF and go Shift A and search for a mix shader node. And we can just connect this shader into the surface like that. And we're also going to need our transparent node and our emission node and also a color ramp. So to be able to see the transparency here, we need to go down to material properties and change the render method to blended like that. So this is a really important step. So remember to do this if you're working with the earlier versions of Blender. You probably know how to do this, but in 4.2 change this to blended. So now we can just go and bring in 2 more nodes. So we are going to use a Voronoi texture node and also a noise texture. So let's bring the factor of the noise texture into the vector of the Voronoi and the distance of the Voronoi into the factor of the color ramp like that. So now we have this blobby kind of look, so we need some more detail. So what we can do here is just go to the color ramp and then just bring in this value, and that will bring in the contrast between black and white. So let's just place them somewhere around here, and then we can go into this Vonoid texture and then just bring up the scale. So now we have this interesting looking pattern, but it doesn't look like rain. So to get this rain effect, we need to have the Node Wrangler add-on. So if you don't have it, just go Edit, Preferences, go to Add-ons and type in Node Wrangler and check this box here, and also check this autosave. So now what you can do is just select this noise texture node and then go Control and T. So Control and T will give us this texture coordinate and this mapping node. And what you want to do is bring this pattern in, so it gives the look of rain. So let's go down to the scale here. And if we drag this value, you can see that will bring in the pattern. So we can set this to 55 or around that number. Now, obviously, this is way too dense. So let's go into the scale of the Vonoid. And when you're playing around with these values, a nice little trick here is just to hold down Shift, because that will give you more control like this. And now we just need to find sort of the style we are going for here. Oh, the amount of rain, Cyberpunk rain in our scene. So maybe around like 7 here is fine. And what we also can do is set the emission strength to 2, like that. And we can also go into the emission here and change the color to whatever color that we are going to use. I think I'm just going to go with some purple-ish color here. Something like that. It's fine. So maybe bring this a little bit down. Yeah. Okay. So the next part here is the animation. So we want the rain here to go in a direction, obviously from the top and down to the ground. To do that, we can animate one of these values in the mapping node, and you can see the Y direction here. So we are going to use the Y and create this downfall of water or artificial rain. So let's animate this thing here. So to animate it, we can just insert a driver into the mapping. So just follow this step here. So just go hash like that and type in frame and then divided by a certain number. So in this case, we're going to put in 400. And if you want to play around with these numbers, you can do that. But keep in mind, if you bring the number up, you're going to slow down the animation. If you bring it down, you're going to speed it up. So from here, we can just go enter. And if I were to play this now, we can see that we have this rain going in this direction here. And let's also, just for the look of it, go into world here. And if I can find my node, we can just do it here. So go to world and bring this down to black, and then we're just going to jump into the object, and there we have our nodes. So always a good time when the nodes are disappearing into the Blender abyss. So if we go to top view here, we now have this really cool thing. And this animation here is 250 frames. So if you want to increase it, just go to timeline and set this to whatever number that you want to use. So I'm just going to set mine to 1000 here. So the next part that we want to animate to give this really extra and cool looking effect is the noise texture. We're going to set this noise texture to 4D, and we are going to bring in a driver at this double view. So let's just go hash and then frame and divided by 200 and go enter. So now this will give us this really cool looking effect. And from here we can play around with the scale of the one-over texture. So if you want to make it more dense, you can do that. Just want to have a couple of Cyberpunk raindrops, you can bring it all the way down. And we can also play around with the scale of the noise texture. Just bring it in like that. Maybe bring it up. Here is all about sort of like finding the sweet spot. So just go around and play a little bit with this, and to render this out. And I'm going to show you one more thing as well. So let's go to the output properties, and then here you can set your output, and you can render this. This will be fine to render this in a video format because we are just using material. So the odds for your blender to crash is not big. But if you're afraid of crashing, so just render in PNG and you'll be fine. So here, if you want to set this to video, go MPEG-4 like that, and then we can just go render and render as animation. What you also can do is go down to render properties, down and open up this color management. And here we can play around with some styles. So we can set the look here to high contrast like that. This will just give it a more crystallized effect. And if you play around with exposure here, we can also bring, you can see that this actually affects the image itself. So that's really cool. So we can fine tune our scene with it. So let's just keep it somewhere around here. And what we can do now is if you want to play around with different visual styles, you can just click on these different transform views, as they say. But I'm just going to keep mine at Ajax like that. So I think that is all. And if you can like and subscribe, I would really appreciate that. Have a great day wherever you are, and peace out.